At this time, it is my pleasure as chair of your Hanover Borough Council to call the March 2024 meeting of Borough Council to order. I request that we stand and recite our Pledge of Allegiance in unison. We'll follow that with a brief moment of silence.
All right, be careful.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and please be seated. We'll have Secretary Felix call the roll this evening.
Okay.
Dr. Rupp,
Here.
Mr. Ricart,
Here.
Mr. Bubb,
Here.
Mr. Kress,
Here.
Mr. Lookenbill,
Here.
Mr. Fuentes, Mrs. Greenholt,
Here.
Mrs. Funk,
Here.
Mr. Rowland,
Here.
Mr. Hegberg,
Here.
Solicitor Schultes,
Here.
Mayor Whitman,
Here.
Manager Lewis,
Here.
Junior Counsel Prasad, Junior Counsel Houston, Secretary Felix. We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, we'll hear from the solicitor on acknowledgement of a council event.
On Saturday, March 23rd, Borough Council, the mayor, the borough manager, the solicitor, and a number of borough staff met for a day-long retreat, which consisted of a two and a half hour tour of the borough facilities, which included the water facilities, wastewater, public works, transfer station, all conducted by our borough staff, and then a 3-hour guided training session on visioning, leadership, and governance conducted by strategic consulting partners. In order to comply with the Sunshine Act, Council was very deliberate in assuring that no borough agency business was conducted, nor was any official action taken or even discussed during the retreat. The main purpose of the retreat was to equip all of the participants, council and staff, to better serve the public in their role as servant leaders.
Thank you, Solicitor Schultes. At this time, I will open up the floor in meeting for public comment.
Bill.
Sorry.
I just have a comment that the retreat came through the Governor's Committee, and I just want to commend Margie and the staff. It was a day for us to hang out together that we don't always get to do because we're in business meetings, but a nice day to learn things and to learn about our facilities that we might use in future decisions. And I would hope that we would have one every year. I mean, it sort of makes sense. We'll get a lot smarter then after another one.
At least on a biannual basis when we bring potentially new
Right,
councilors.
exactly, right. So I think it was good. Thanks again.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll open up the floor for in-room public comment. We have one submission for time to speak, and that is Sandy Balick. Sandy, if you can come to the front table, we'll need your name and address, and then you may comment to council.
Sandy Bialek, 10 North Railroad Street, Fat Bat Brewing Company. I'm not usually one to read, but I wanted to make sure I hit my points tonight, so I'm going to read for you. Thank you all for allowing me to address the council. For those who do not know me, I'm Sandy Bialek, the owner of Fat Bat Brewing on North Railroad Street. We will be celebrating our 3rd anniversary in May of this year. In 2018, I was inspired to help the revitalization efforts of downtown. At the time, there seemed to be a buzz in the community, business was starting to pick up, and I chose to follow a dream and help out. COVID, of course, slowed everything down, but I hung in there and opened in 2021, 15 months after the original plan. The impact of COVID is still being felt in the brewing industry. Taproom visits are still down 30% compared to pre-pandemic. The last 3 years have been a struggle. I have been battling the normal new business issues like cash flow and availability of supplies, but also the challenges of the post-pandemic world. I have spent much of my retirement funds as an investment in this community. I am hopeful that 2024 is the year that we catch up. Since I opened the doors of Fat Bat, I have stayed true to my vision to help revitalize downtown. I understand the value of building together. I have been working with local vendors and suppliers for merchandise, allowing local artists to sell their creations in my building. And I do run in, excuse me, I also include myself in the downtown events, like the recent Leprechaun Leap. That brought over 400 people into our town. I also attend town meetings like this whenever I get a chance, and ones like the recent Blue Zone meeting at the library. I'm unable to attend all of them, obviously, because I'm running a business. I read the minutes from the February 6th Safety Committee meeting recently, which were approved at the March meeting. And I'm going to quote from the notes. Public Works Director Grimm noted that Fat Bat and Oak requested an extension of the loading zone along West Railroad. I want to be clear that I did not request any changes. I'm not sure why Fat Bat was included in that, but I did not request a change. I have worked with my suppliers, and they send smaller trucks for deliveries to our brewery. I get many very large pallets. I got one today, and they're fine with supplying us using smaller trucks. I occasionally also have food trucks, and we have used this parking spot for our food trucks because it's right outside our door. Mr. Miller had mentioned in the February meeting that I did not attend that some food trucks do not have proper permission, and I will not use those food trucks in the future. I like the current parking spot because it allows customers to buy their food right outside the brewery door, and it's very visible to passing vehicles. If the food truck was required to park on Bank Lane, it will have a direct impact on others living in Bank Lane and those using the alley. Also, the food truck will not be noticed by downtown visitors. Less traffic to the food trucks means that they may not return. This will have a major impact to monthly sales. My only regular food truck is Jimmy's Seafood Truck that comes out the third Sunday of every month. And it sits on North Railroad and gets a lot of customers that are just passing by. Many of these customers don't even come into my facility. Anytime that we have this kind of traffic in town, it helps the whole town. As I mentioned earlier, if the food truck is required to park on Bank Lane, then there'll be less visitors to it, and we may not have their business in the future. The real problem is this one parking spot, and apparently when they put in the sidewalks there in 2020, around 2020, a parking meter was not replaced there, so it's a blank spot that people can use without paying. I think the best way probably to fix that is to put a meter there, just my guess. It's my understanding if you take away parking spots that there has to be a special exception required. Also, a loading zone near mixed use should be enclosed. These are different things I've read in the papers for Hanover Borough. As of today, I saw cones. It says no parking in this spot, and I don't know what's going on. I haven't been privy to that. In conclusion, I want you to know that I have made a large investment in Hanover's downtown. The post-COVID economy has not helped, but it's picking up. The decisions made by this council have a direct impact on the success of all the downtown economy. Please consider how your actions will help or hinder the small businesses in our town. I need a space for the food trucks at my front door. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Certainly. Seeing no other requests for
Can I make a
in-room
comment, President Ricard?
You'd like to make a comment?
May I, please, about her?
Certainly.
I think they've done an exceptional job on their improvements and the overall place, and they're a real asset to our downtown, and I thank them for that because I'm similar or familiar with the same sort of thing, and you guys have done a great job. So thank you very much. That was it. Thank you.
Community media, is there anyone online wishing to provide public comment to council this evening?
Yes, there's somebody with their hand raised. Those joining us via Zoom, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to address council.
I see, looks like Isaac.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yep, and you're up. Go ahead. Name and address.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Isaac Riston, address 36 West Hanover Street. I'm zooming in for the first time. It's really cool. I guys don't know if you know this council, but York City doesn't even do this, allowing public comment of residents over Zoom. So it's awesome that we're able to have this. My public comment is more of a question and comment with the renter survey report that was presented last week and available for the public. I've gotten a lot of questions now about what happens next. Does it go back to committee for councils to workshop it? Does it go to borough staff to work on it? So I'm just trying to find what happens next in the plot line in terms of where does this go so we can keep moving forward, hopefully have this done by the end of this year. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else, community?
Is there anyone else on Zoom that would like to speak? Now's your chance.
Survey.
Okay, I'll close public comment at this time. We'll come back to it at the end of the meeting. We'll move into the approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the consent agenda? Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we'll have the presentation's been canceled. Sorry. Yeah, you didn't get my copy. All right, so we will now move into the rest of the agenda, that being reports of standing committees. The first being council workshop and finance and personnel. Mr. Kress?
Number one, consideration of a motion authorizing and directing borough staff, borough solicitor, and the borough financing team to take preparatory action required in order for the borough to undertake the financing of the proposed public safety and administrative complex project, including the preparation of relevant documents and the legal advertisement of a maximum parameter debt ordinance.
So motion.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number two, consideration of a motion approving the following resolutions to adopt a 5-year asset smoothing method for the Borough of Hanover pension plans. A, resolution number 1405, Borough of Hanover Employee Pension Plan. B, resolution number 1406, Borough of Hanover Police Pension Plan. C, resolution number 1407, Borough of Hanover Fire Driver Pension Plan.
For a second. I have a second. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries.
Number three, consideration of a motion approving the advertisement of an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 62, Article 2, entitling Borough of Hanover Employee Pension Plan in order to modify the pension benefit formula to 1.5% multiplier for non-union, non-uniformed employees who have an hour of service on or after July 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any required discussion? Speak now. All in favor of the consideration signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries. That concludes your request, Councilor Cross?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Who'd like to pinch hit for Councilor Fuentes?
I'll do it.
Okay, Councilor Funk?
Okay, consideration of a motion to approve ordinance number 2363 for vehicles and traffic regulations in the area of East Chestnut Street and to repeal a yield sign for Grant Drive and East Walnut Street, which no longer exist.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the consideration signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call. I knew it right before I said it. Sorry. Roll call.
Busted.
Dr. Rupp?
Yes.
Mr. Ricart?
Four.
Mr. Bub?
Yep.
Mr. Kress?
Yes.
Mr. Luckenbill?
Four.
Mrs. Greenholt?
Yes.
Mrs. Funk?
Yes.
Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
Mr. Hagberg?
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, do you have a report?
Yes, the mayor highlights for February 2024. February 7th, Borough Manager Margie Lewis and I spent the day in Harrisburg with Delta Development Group, meeting with Senator Kristen Phillips Hill and the PADCED to discuss the Hanover Borough capital projects. February 20th, I took part in a Hispanic roundtable that was held at the YCEA. The PA House Democratic Caucus, hosted by the Central PA Delegation and Latino Caucus, held a roundtable that consisted of the Latino Caucus Chair, the Central PA Delegation Chair, Latino elected officials, Latino educators, small businesses, and CASA. State Rep. Kay Klunk and Councilwoman Barbara Rupp also attended. We discussed the problems and concerns facing the Latino and Hispanic communities in York County. February 23rd, 2 new code officers were sworn in. Welcome Stephen Ryan and Donald Jenkins to the Hanover Borough team. And throughout the month, I was involved with many meetings concerning the Blue Zones project and the Blue Zones project presentation. The Blue Zones project is an initiative that I, along with the steering committee, are hoping to implement in Hanover and eventually all of York County. The 250th Celebration Committee also met, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor Whitman. At this time, we'll open up in room for any final public comment this evening. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
You know the drill.
Yes, sir. Sorry for being late.
Okay.
Robert Holt, P.O. Box 1131, Hanover, Pennsylvania. I did a right for a no request for some information about how the Library Board of Governors are appointed. And it's clearly become evident there's been a lot of disinformation and misinformation about that. And first off, there are 9, not 8. 3 are a financial commission that have an indefinite term of office. 3 are appointed by the Hanover Public Library Association, and 3 are appointed by the mayor. And there is nothing that requires or mandates that there be representatives from any other municipality but Hanover Borough. But it just seems to be this constant, persistent disinformation about there must be representatives from other municipalities on this Board of Governors. And according to the information I received from the borough, that's not true. And I just think we need to clear the air. And so I'm submitting another right to know request for the budget, a line item budget by category, department expenditures, so the public can fully see how their funds are allocated, the taxpayer funds are allocated, and how they're spent. So much misinformation and disinformation has been kicking around, and nobody ever seems to ask the questions. I don't know why, and so I'm going to get there. And I would like to hear the council have more presentation on why it has decided to adopt a policy on smoothing the pension contributions to the various defined benefit funds. Smoothing can be a good thing. Smoothing has also been a gimmick or a tactic used by major corporations. You reduce your contributions in one year, and the plan is you make it up in the following years. And I would like to know, what is the borough going to reduce its contributions in some years, and maybe with the plan it'll have to make larger contributions to offset in future years? And what will be done with the funding that's realized from the savings of this pension smoothing? The United States Congress has passed legislation that allowed pension smoothing recently, and the whole thrust of that was to generate tax revenues to finance transportation funding. So there's corporations that take advantage of that, and there's corporations that abuse it, and it can be a good thing. It helps control volatility, because what you're dealing with is the valuation of pension funds, which are different methods to do that, and it's all based on market value and interest rates and investment rates and things like that. I would just like to know why the borough is doing this now, and what will be done with funds that are not contributed to the pension in some years under the smoothing plan. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Bill, can you recommend that he talk to Jim Sheldon tonight? I was talking to Jim, and I think he needs to. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone online? Additional comments?
Additional comments for anybody joining us via Zoom? You're now able to unmute yourself.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment.
Your name and address, sir?
Aaron Seidel, 327 West Elm Avenue.
Can you spell Seidel, please?
Seidel.
Thank you. Please address council.
Yes. Just Mr. Holt said he is a bit concerned about how Board of Governors were selected and was confused about the conversation about representation from other municipalities. And I just wanted to say that I think that's kind of part of the conversation, is that other municipalities feel like they're unrepresented, so they're not contributing their fair share to the library. And so part of the conversation, I think, is about getting them some sort of representation with the library so that they're more comfortable giving their fair share for the library. So I think that's more to what he was kind of getting at.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else online, community, media?
Is there anyone else who'd like to address council? We're good.
Okay, we'll close public comment, and the chair will request a motion to adjourn.
So motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Tim?
Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you. See you next month.
Times on it.